As I told you before the season began, that damn Kevin Durant ruined my season. I'm trying to tell you right now. Listen.
Some people said that maybe in the future the Warriors would become a team, that everybody when he becomes free just want to join them and get a champion and then go to another team. What do you think?
I would never do anything of that nature.
No?
Yeah, I think that's disgusting.
You don't like it?
No. So it's disgusting.
We just got huge news, whether we know it or not. Fred VanVleet is now going to be our new NBPA president. And what exactly does that mean? Well, hopefully with this change, at the end of the decade, when this new CBA agreement is up, we'll have a much more fun, nostalgic offseason like we used to. You see, unlike the last president, Fred VanVleet actually beat Golden State. He didn't get bullied by them. And most importantly, he didn't ruin the league's fun because of it. Now, who exactly was the last president? And why does free agency suck so bad now? Well, it was this guy right here. In 2021, CJ McCollum became the NBPA president, basically the face for the players. He's basically the player that negotiated the current collective bargaining agreement that we're on right now. And ultimately, he's become the face of what once seemed like an NBA holiday, NBA free agency, where we get to see where everybody goes, officially dying. I'll never forget this interaction between KD and CJ McCollum like 8 years ago. KD basically trolled him for being one of the most notorious playoff losers ever. And well, it feels like CJ responded. Now, I'm not just saying he's one of the most notorious playoff losers ever. No, he's actually one of the greatest losers we've ever seen in the playoffs. CJ McCollum has played in 67 playoff games. Out of any player that's averaged anywhere near his numbers and his games, he's by far the biggest loser. Now, this move right here seems like it was a big reason for this. And this exchange right here clearly shows how disgruntled CJ was about it. And I can't lie, I probably would be too. This man played Golden State in the playoffs 13 times. Do you know how many times he actually won? Once. And now, since he's become president 4 years ago, what the hell's happened to my beautiful sport? Literally, the simplicity of the NBA is gone, where said players are set to be free agents, said teams prepare for this in advance, said teams clear out cap space to get said players, and boom, a magical July. Now, everything feels so complicated and everything feels like a math equation.
Collective bargaining agreement that has been ratified by the owners.
Am I accurate in saying this is going to be an active summer for the NBA?
Pat, this is the most, I think, anticipation team executives have had over an offseason. I think this is going to be the craziest offseason of I don't want to say all time.
Shams promised us one of the craziest free agencies we've seen. And no, it's just been Kevin Durant going to Houston, moves that made contenders even more so contenders, and cap space moves for the future? No, what is this? Well, it's the new NBA.
Late last night, the Celtics trade Drew Holiday to Portland. The process of getting under the second apron.
This is an article from 2018, basically setting the stage for what we know would become one of the craziest off seasons we've ever seen. Multiple big names in the middle of their primes were set to hit free agency, and obviously multiple teams prepared in advance. In 2019, bro, that's 6 years ago. It's not that long. Damn near half the league had significant cap space. The two New York teams, they had enough cap space to get 2 max salaries, and we know who they wanted. In 2019, 12 players were signed to 9-figure deals, $100 million deals. This offseason, even with the salary cap significantly rising, we've had 2. Going into this free agency, basically the only team that had any real room to sign, say, a max contract was Brooklyn.
Right now in Boston.
I think that was part one. I think we're going to see a series of moves from the Celtics here. The goal is to get under this second apron to give themselves some flexibility to make some trades.
Jason Tatum was technically supposed to hit free agency this summer. Even with a torn Achilles, he would have been by far the most sought after free agent available. 27 years old, 3-level scorer, smack in the middle of his prime, accomplished. He would have most definitely been it. But Jason Tatum, as we know, he didn't hit free agency. He signed that massive extension right after winning a championship. And now, as I'm sure you've noticed, no max player ever hits free agency anymore. This is a list of big name superstars that technically would have hit free agency had they not signed their extensions early. This is what free agency used to look like literally 6 years ago, and these type of names are never on the market. Why? Well, to be honest, all of it isn't the new CBA. A lot of it ties back to the old CBA that was agreed upon in 2017.
The issue, though, Ryan, of course, is that the small market teams want things in their favor so that they can compete with the big market teams.
It was so bad, bro. Coach, man, Steve used to be like, man, y'all are being disrespectful.
Y'all are getting out of hand.
It was times we going out there with like 6 minutes on the clock.
That's crazy.
It was just the look of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this shit getting a little disrespectful.
This move right here, it was very significant for the NBA, and clearly they made adjustments. The 2017 CBA introduced the Supermax contract, otherwise known as the Kevin Durant rule, quote unquote. This basically incentivizes anybody that's eligible to extend with their respective team. Why? Well, if you extend on the Supermax with your current team, you can make up to 35% of the salary cap. Any new team, they can only offer you 30%. Also, you can make up to an 8% annual raise as opposed to a 5% with any new team. Again, not to get too mathy, but Jason Tatum, this is what he's going to make next year starting on that new contract, that Supermax contract with Boston, as opposed to what he would have made anywhere else. Even on a simple max contract, that 8% annual raise that you can make with your current team, as opposed to that 5% annual raise that you will make with a new team, that still matters and it adds up. But this is where the new CBA comes into play. Again, this has been a thing since 2017.
Breaking news! It is the watershed Riverwalk moment that Spurs fans have been fearing for a while. League sources telling Adrian Wojnarowski that Kawhi would like to come back to his native Los Angeles.
This is an article in January of 2019, well before all the madness went down, basically explaining how the new Supermax is kind of failing. Kawhi qualified in 2018 with San Antonio, didn't care, still left. Anthony Davis qualified with New Orleans, didn't care, still left. So if the Supermax stipulations and the max contract stipulations were literally the exact same then compared to now, why were there way more big notable free agents in 2019 compared to now? Well, to me, the contenders, they're likely stuck financially, so they can't even bother with a lot of those big name free agents. And the bad teams that actually have the space, they can't even overcompensate them being bad by giving you the most money. That team is the team that you're literally already on. I told y'all Brooklyn going into free agency was basically the only team that had significant cap space. But why exactly do they have significant cap space? Because nobody's there. If I'm a big name free agent like Giannis, why exactly would I leave a team that can, one, pay me way more? They can offer me the Supermax and give me all these Supermax stipulations that I explained. I'ma leave them to essentially take a pay cut and most likely join a losing situation? It makes no sense. And then the contenders, the teams that most free agents would likely want to join. What exactly do they probably have? Another max contract. Most contenders that I know have minimum 2 max contracts. So even if this contending team cleared out all their depth and renounced all their role players to make room for this new max contract, what exactly are they going to end up looking like?
I mean, saying it respectfully, I don't know how teams are going to guard us.
They have no draft picks. They have no money. They spend all their money on their veterans right now, and they are not going to the playoffs. And there is an irony here, or a poetry, in the fact that they got kicked out against the OKC Thunder, a team that has taken the opposite approach.
We literally just seen in these playoffs, depth is everything, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. Most teams with 3 max contracts or sizable deals are likely above the first apron and flirting with the second apron. If you are above that second apron, you better be a championship winning team right now. Why? Because number one, your owner is going to be luxury taxed out the ass, and you have absolutely no room, and I mean no room, to do anything. Your team is going to be your team. No mid-level exceptions, no trades, even your future picks are most likely hampered. Now, personally, I don't really have a problem with stars being pushed to stay with their teams. That bothers me not one bit. But specifically, this is what I don't like about the new CBA and really the new NBA.
CJ, you've lost to these guys in the playoffs a few times over the past few years. Does anything stand out to you as different about this particular Warriors team?
I told you, CJ McCollum basically got his playoff career bullied by Golden State. And one can say, well, they had Kevin Durant, so obviously that was going to happen. But that's not all the way true. In fact, it's not really true at all. In 2019, in the Western Conference Finals, the Trailblazers with Dame and CJ, they got swept by Golden State, a Kevin Durant-less Golden State, mind you. CJ, McCollum, and Dame, they got swept by the Warriors draftees. They didn't even lose to the Warriors that were added. I told you guys, CJ McCollum lost to Golden State 12 out of 13 times. Do you know how many times Kevin Durant actually played in those games? Twice. Now, what exactly is my point? The Golden State Warriors dynasty is one of the most organically built dynasties that I've ever seen. In 2025, these exact teams, they're now going to be punished. The OKC Thunder, to me, they just won one of the most respectable NBA championships that I've seen as far as how they're built. Consequently, their entire big three just all signed massive contracts that will have ramifications in the future. OKC fans, y'all good. Their contracts don't simultaneously kick in until around 2028 anyway, and I trust Sam Presti. He'll draft well and get new younger players and flip contracts and unload contracts. I trust him. But my thing is, essentially, if you draft well and you have your players' bird rights and you compensate them against the cap because you drafted well, you still get punished under these harsh-ass penalties.
Now, if Tatum earns All-NBA this year, he can become the first player to sign a 5-year, ready for this, $300 million contract.
Jaylen Brown has himself a new contract. Brown and the Boston Celtics have agreed to the richest deal in NBA history.
So what else is the problem? And what else is clearly hurting the NBA and specifically small market teams? The Supermax contract. Everyone's choosing the money. The NBA incentivized everyone to stay loyal with their respective teams, and that's cool. But the problem is, Shaq isn't all the way wrong.
Oh, yeah, what do you think about that contract?
Yeah, we were gonna
Rudy, I mean, he got 200 million, Shaq.
200.
I'm not going to hate, but this should be an inspiration to all the little kids out there. If you average 11 points in the NBA, you can get 200 million.
All you have to do now is basically make an all-NBA team, which we know is easier than ever now given that 65-game criteria. You do this, and you basically qualify to handicap your roster and essentially ruin your team.
So where were you when you found out you were third team All-NBA? Because that's a big deal.
Where was I? You know, usually when guys make those teams, you know, they're in the playoffs and things like that. So we didn't make the playoffs, so I definitely didn't think I would get it.
So I wonder if this played a part in you being here in Boston today because you became eligible for the Supermax.
Going back to 2019, when all the madness happened with free agency, Michael Jordan made the greatest move of his entire owner/GM career. And to be honest, it was a very early indicator of what was to come. Kemba Walker in 2019 made the All-NBA team, which meant what? He qualified for a Supermax contract. Michael Jordan said no, and Kemba went to Boston, and unfortunately, his career immediately went downhill. Now this was on the old CBA, way before second aprons and these extremely harsh penalties were even a thing. But the problem with that specific contract, which was actually minor then because the cap was way softer back then, it's become major now under this CBA and it's crippling teams. It's the reason why we're seeing stuff like this, and I believe this trend will continue. I've seen Bobby Marks and Draymond have a difference in opinions as to why free agency sucks so bad now. And to me, they're both right. No contending team really has money and they're kind of financially tied to whatever situation they're in. And the few teams that do have money don't have the money that the team that you're on can give you, and it's likely a bad situation, hence why they have that money. Under this new CBA, where it feels like nobody really has money to spend, and going back to the old CBA, where basically all I have to do is make an All-NBA team and I qualify for a Supermax, no worthy players are ever going to hit the market. It's basically dead, and this is the only way we're going to see superstars get moved. The Washington Wizards, they're a clear example of the biggest problem with the Supermax contract. John Wall got it, and he ultimately got bought out to go to the Clippers. Bradley Beal got it, and he ultimately got bought out to go to the Clippers. With how desperate everybody seems to be to stay within a specific financial range, and I understand why, it damn near feels like teams have to root against their own investments, aka their draft picks, for the longevity of their teams. If you guys like this video, I tried to break everything down the best I possibly could. The whole CBA now is like a whole college course to even understand. So if you want to do that, take your time and study. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.